Hello, in this video we're looking at issue 46 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine, where we get a whole host of new Sisters models to add to our collection, and we'll be starting to learn the rules for them on the battlefield. Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 46 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine today. In this issue we got 7 Battle Sister models of various units to add to our growing collection. And if you'd like to see some of them in action, you can use the timecode in the description to skip ahead to the game, or use the chapter bars. Looking through the issue first. Battle record for the Battle Sisters unit. So these are the sort of basic line troops of the Adepta Sororitas, and it shows you the full squad there that will eventually add to our collection. And it goes over some of their special equipment. So you see one's got the Simulacrum Imperialis, one has a Stormbolt and one has a Flamer, and the various iconography they wear. And on the next page you can give more background detail and so on, personalisation to the special members of the unit, so the Sister Superior and then the ones with the special equipment. And then a battle record for the Seraphim, so these are the shock jump troop infantry of the Sororitas. They wear their winged jetpacks and descend from the skies like angels, and they're usually armed with twin pistols, whereas the Superior has a sword and a pistol. And again, you can give them more background detail and personalisation. And then the build guide for all of the units, because there were 2 other models that we don't have battle records for. We'll get those in a later issue. They're fairly easy to put together. They're all monopose models. We do actually get another set of this sprue later. All the models here have options for separate heads. You have the 3 battle sisters with bolt guns and the 2 Seraphim. I would recommend keeping the Seraphim off the flying stand, but it shows you how to put them on there. And for maximum confusion, there's 3 separate base sizes, and 2 of them are very similar, so do be careful. Make sure the Sister Repentia goes on the 28mm, not the 25. And the Arco-flagellant. Then you can see the built models there. And then the painting guide for the Battle Sisters and the Seraphim. It's only off with an Abaddon black undercoat this time. Darker corn red for the underside of the robes, Mephiston red for the outer side, and Morphang brown for all the pouches and webbing. There's a fair amount of detail to go over, and quite a lot of it is white as well, so you need to do multiple thin coats for the Corax white over their visors, and the fleur-de-lis and the Imperial eagle on their shoulders and so forth. There's a fair amount of decoration as well that you'll need to do in gold, and basing them in the same way as the other models. Whereas for the Arco-flagellant and the Sister Repentia are starting with a Corax white base coat, and since there's a fair amount of flesh, you can just go for Reikland flesh shade. Although again, there are lots of small details you need to be careful of, and a fair amount of decoration on them as well. And you can see the finished models there. And I'll hand you over to Will, who can take us through some new data sheets and get us into today's game.
So of course we have the data sheets for our new Battle Sisters, or some of them anyway. So starting off with the Battle Sisters squad, they have a 4+ weapon skill and a 3+ ballistic skill. They're strength and toughness 3 with 1 wound, leadership of 7, but they do have a 3+ save. The squad size is 9 with 1 superior. Obviously we only have the 3 models with the bolt guns at the moment, and the same with their weapon options. We will get the other things later. Likewise, the Simulacrum Imperialis, we don't have that yet either, but it is worth pointing out here though that the Minotaur and Flamer profile here is completely wrong. What it should be is Assault D6, not Assault 6. It is strength 5, but it's AP 0, not AP -1, so they've just messed it up massively here, so just be aware of that when we do get that model. And they have 3 abilities: Sacred Rites we know about, Acts of Faith and Shield of Faith we haven't had yet, although we'll learn a bit of Shield of Faith over the page, so I'll cover that in a second. And then we have the profile for the Seraphim squad. They are 4 Seraphim with 1 superior, but at the moment we've just got 2 normal Seraphim. They have a 3+ weapon skill and a 12-inch move, and they have the fly keyword as well. They also have 2 attacks, so they're a little bit better in melee and higher leadership. The ones we have are equipped with 2 bolt pistols. Plasma pistol and power sword will be on the superior. They have the same 3 abilities as before, but they also have Angelic Visage, which means that the invulnerable save they receive from Shield of Faith is increased, which we'll cover over the page, and Sky Strike, which allows them to deploy in much the same manner as the flayed ones, in the reinforcement step of the movement phase, anywhere on the table more than 9 inches away from enemy models. And tutorial for the Seraphim's abilities. So as it says, Shield of Faith grants all units with this ability a 6+ invulnerable save. It also does something else as well, we'll learn about that in the next issue. But for now the invulnerable save is relevant, and that applies to the Battle Sisters and the Canoness as well, technically. But the Seraphim's Angelic Visage actually increases that to 5+ invulnerable save. And here's a tutorial for Sky Strike as well, showing them deploying more than 9 inches away from the Technomancer. And And now the background for our game. So after heavy fighting in the sub-levels of the hive of Alectia Prime, the Battle Sister's Canoness is heading for the surface again as the Necrons take over more and more of the city, and she's found some Battle Sisters and some Assault Intercessors and is now trying to lead them to the surface. But the Necron Overlord had located the Canoness, is leading a strike personally to try and assassinate her, and so the Canoness and her forces must try and break through the Necron ambush. And so on to our mission, engage and eliminate. So the forces for this game are quite small because we only have a few Battle Sisters, and so in order to use those it's very small squads on both sides. The Necrons have the Overlord, only 2 Immortals, 2 Scarab Swarms and the Canoptek Wraith, whereas the Imperial forces are led by the Canoness with 3 Battle Sisters, 2 Seraphim and 3 Assault Intercessors. We'll have to wait to a later issue to see our Sister Repentia and the Arco-flagellant. The battlefield is the map from issue 38, with the pipes and the ruins laid out as normal. The attackers and defenders deployment zones are 6-inch right-angled triangles on the top left and bottom right corners, as you can see there. And there are no objectives on the mat because the aim of this game is total annihilation, so it's a victory point for each enemy unit destroyed and an extra 2 for destroying the enemy warlord. And presumably the game lasts for 5 battle rounds. It doesn't say that, but it usually does. So there you have it. We will set up the board and deploy our models and then get straight into it. So here's the board setup. It's the other way around relative to the picture because we roll off and I won the roll off and decided to be the attacker, so just putting my deployment zone closer to me. So here is my deployment. I didn't put anything in strategic reserve. We've got 2 Immortals down the bottom with the Overlord behind them, then the Scarabs and then the Wraith, and then the Imperial deployment.
I have no strategic reserves, but I am putting the Seraphim in probably in the upper rafters of the underhive, so they're going to use their Sky Strike ability. And then for my deployment, I've got the Assault Intercessors in front of the Canoness and the Battle Sisters alongside. And for my Sacred Right, I'm going to pick Divine Guidance because I actually have some units with proper shooting attacks. That's the one where if any of my sisters' units roll a 6 to wound with ranged weapons, they get an extra armor penetration.
Yeah, and remember that because of the mission pack special rules, we can use those even though it's a mixed Imperial force. So then we're just rolling off to see who gets the first turn. Right, 4 each. Let's try again. And 1 each. There we go.
I guess I'll go first.
So we'll be into Imperium, turn 1. Revealing my first command protocol, because I do have the Noble as my warlord. We've got Protocol of the Sudden Storm, and I'll pick the directive, which is +1 movement for everything.
Well, my movement phase, everyone's just going to move so that they're behind the pipe so they get some cover. You're not going to bring in the Seraphim yet, and the only unit that's going to be in range is the 3 Battle Sisters, and they're going to shoot their bolt guns at the Immortals. And I'll use the command rod on the Canoness herself because the Battle Sisters already benefit from her aura. So we've got 3 bolt gun shots at long range, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. Well, they all hit. Wounding on 5s, cause toughness 5 Immortals. There's 1 wound.
No AP on a bolt gun, so 3+ save. Oh, that's a 1. The Immortal goes down. Does it reanimate? It does. An Immortal died, and would you look at that, it reanimated 2 inches further forward to where it was before. But that'll be the end of the Imperial turn, because there's nothing else to do, so on to Necron's turn 1. So in my command phase, my will be done. We'll go on the Immortals, there being the only core unit I have. And then for movement, the Immortals with 2 extra inches of movement were able to get up to the pipe. The Overlord rolled for an advance and managed to get to there. Again, with the extra movement of the protocol helping out. And you can see one of the Scarab Swarms there. The other one is the other side of the wall, and the Wraith is also in this building. Again, benefiting from that extra inch of movement and an advance roll on the Scarabs. The Wraith cannot see anything to shoot. The Immortals can, though. They're going to shoot at the Assault Intercessors. I'm going to start trying to whittle some wounds off them. Just the 2 shots, but hitting on 2s thanks to my will be done. They both hit. They wound on 3s, and that's a wound. They're behind cover though.
So 4+ save, failed, so 1 guy takes a wound. And I'll put it on this guy on the end.
But that'll be it for my turn. So we'll be on to Imperium, turn 2. And protocol for this battle round will be Protocol of the Vengeful Stars, which is going to be the directive for an extra AP -1 on shooting attacks from 6s to wound, just like the Sacred Right.
So my movement phase, everyone's going to move around the pipe. The Assault Intercessors are moving out, Canoness follow out behind, and the 3 Sisters staying behind the pipe. I'm still not going to bring the Seraphim in, because if I do, they aren't going to be in range of anything, I don't think. In the shooting phase, the 3 Sisters will shoot at the Immortals again. 3 shots hitting on 3s, you're on 1s. Getting 2 hits. Wounding on 5s. No. 2 heavy bolt pistols from the Assault Intercessors who will shoot at the Immortals as well on 3s. They both miss.
Another quick turn, there's nothing else to do, so on to Necron's turn 2. So my will be done went on the Immortals again. The Wraith and the Scarabs have broken cover out of their building to close with the Imperials getting up right close to them. The Overlord has carried on moving out. He's still within 6 inches of the Immortals to benefit from the protocol, and they'll shoot at the Assault Intercessors. So 4 shots because they're within 15 now, hitting on 2s. Got a miss. Wounding on 3s. Got 2 wounds. front guy who's wounded is in cover.
Yeah, so I'll do these one at a time because he's wounded. 4+. He lives. Next one. Oh, he lives.
I didn't say before, but I did give the Wraith the transdimensional beamer for this game because it's much better against Space Marines and other multi-wound things. So it'll shoot that at the Assault Intercessors. One shot, which hits on a 4. No, missed. Then we're on to the charge phase. I'll do the Overlord first. He's got a long charge, but he needs to get in without anything being in his way. So his charge roll is probably going to be about a 10 or something like that. No, not a 6. We'll do the Wraith next. It's going to charge the Assault Intercessors. And it is in. So the Wraith will go there, and then we're going to charge with the Scarabs. This time they're going to charge the Battle Sisters. And they roll a 10, that should be good. Their fly lets them ignore the difficult ground penalty for the pipe when charging. Not the up and down distance, but it's enough to get them over to the other side and attack the Battle Sisters. And I'll do them first in the Assault phase. 8 attacks, hitting on 4s, 6s automatically wound. We've just got 4 normal hits. Wounding on 4s, because they're strength 3. Well, that's 1 wound with no AP.
3+ save. Failed. Undead Battle Sister. I'll take away this one.
And just consolidate into them, and then the Wraith will fight the Assault Intercessors. It's not going to pile in because it's already in base contact. 4 attacks hitting on 4s. 2 hits. Winning on 3s because it's strength 6. Oh, double 1, nothing.
So I'll pick the Assault Intercessors first. They're going to pile in so they can all get in range, and so I'm just going to go out in front a little bit. 10 attacks hitting on 3s. Getting 5. And wounding on 5s. Getting 3. AP -1.
So it's a 4+ save either way. Oh, it takes 2 wounds, it's down to 1.
And then the 2 Battle Sisters on 4s. Rerolling 1s, but it's 1 hit. Wounds on a 4. No.
And that would be the end of my turn. No more outposts necessary with the Battle Sisters because they are leadership 7. So on to Imperium turn 3. And this battle round we're doing Protocol of the Hungry Void, which is an extra -1 AP on 6s to wound in melee.
So in my movement phase, the 2 Battle Sisters that are engaged are going to fall back. Canoness is going to move to fight the Scarabs. The Assault Intercessors will stay in combat, see if they can pistol that Wraith to death. And I will bring in the Seraphim now, and they're going to arrive a little over 9 inches away from the Scarabs, but still within range for their pistols. So I'll do the Assault Intercessors shooting first. Black dice will be the plasma. I'm not going to supercharge, so these hit on 3s. No, only the plasma hits. Wounds on a 3. It does.
4+ invulnerable save for the Wraith. They made it.
I'm going to do the Canoness next. She's going to throw a crack grenade at the Scarabs. She would have used her rod on herself because she's the only really optional choice. So hits on a 2, rolling 1s. It hits. Wounds on a 2. It does.
No save against that.
That's an extra AP as well.
Oh,
so
yes.
D3 damage. 2. And then the 2 Seraphim will fire their bolt pistols at the Scarabs as well. Yeah, so 4 shots hitting on 3s. Getting 3. And wounding on 3s. 1 wound with AP -1 and 1 at AP 0.
So the one with AP 0 I get a 6+ save against. Oh, I made it, so the base survives, it's on 1 wound.
And in the charge phase, the Canoness will charge the Scarabs. I'm not going to bother rolling because she'll just be able to get in. And the Seraphim will charge the Scarabs as well. Needing a good roll? Like more than a 4.
Yeah, we need a 9.
So Canoness gets to go first. 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, rolling 1s. Ooh. So they all hit. Wounding on 3s. 1.
Oh. Well, it is enough to destroy the damage base at least, because it doesn't get a save. Does it reanimate using 4 5+s? No. So 1 base destroyed. That's the only charging unit, so I get to pick next, and obviously the Wraith can go. With 4 attacks, they hit on 4s. Oh, only 1 hit this time. Wounds on a 3. It does wound. It has an AP of -2, and it does 2 damage, but there's a guy with 1 wound.
5+. Yes! And then we've got 10 attacks back with the Assault Intercessors on 3s. Getting 6. Wounding on 5s. Getting 1.
4+ save. No, failed. So the Wraith is destroyed. So the Wraith is destroyed, and that is a victory point for the Imperium.
And then they're going to consolidate towards the closest unit, which is the Scarabs, gets them away from the Overlord.
Then the Scarabs get to attack the Canoness. 4 attacks on 4s. 6 is automatically wound. We've got an automatic wound and a normal hit, which wounds on a 4, but a 6 will give it an AP. No, it's just a normal wound, and so 2 normal wounds.
So normal wound is a 3+. She made it. Oh, both on a 3+, sorry. She's fine.
That's it for Imperium turn 3. On to Necrons turn 3. So we used my will be done on the Mortals, and then before the Overlord moved, they moved their 6 inches over to there, and then he moved away. So he'll be able to charge, and then the Scarab Swarm is not going to beat the Canoness, so it fell back and it's gone on top of the roof up here. But in the shooting phase, the Immortals are both within 15 of the Seraphim now, so they're going to shoot at them. 4 shots on 2s. They will hit. Wounding on 3s. We've got 2 wounds.
2 5+ saves. No, failed both, so they're both dead.
And that is a victory point for the Necrons. And then in the charge phase, the Overlord will charge the Assault Intercessors. He rolls a 7. So he'll charge there, and then, being my only combatant, he will pile in the fight phase just to there, like that. And he has 4 attacks hitting on 3s, so that 2 misses. Wounding on 3s, 3 wounds at AP -4. Well, this one's actually AP -5 on the 6, so that's the Assault Intercessor's dead. And another victory point. And he'll consolidate into the Battle Sisters, because they were the closest unit, but it doesn't mean they get to attacking.
2 attacks on 4s, rerolling 1s. 2 hits, all 5s. 1 wound.
Oh, no AP, so 3+. No, he's alright. But that's the end of Necron's turn 3. So on to Imperium, turn 4. And we'll do Protocol of the Undying Legions in this battle round, and the directive will be the one allowing me to regenerate 2 wounds with Living Metal.
So my movement, Canoness is going to move around the pipe to face the Overlord, while the 2 Battle Sisters are going to fall back behind the pipe. Also, the Canoness is using a rod on herself, so in the shooting phase she'll throw a crack grenade at the Overlord. It's on the 2 rolling 1s. Yeah. Wounds on a 3. It does.
-1, so 4+. Well, that's a 1.
D3 damage. 1.
Well, he's down to 4 wounds.
In the charge phase, the Canoness will charge the Overlord. She has 4 attacks hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. They all hit. Wounding on 5s. Getting 1.
So a 4+ invulnerable save. Oh, he failed that, so he takes another wound. He's down to 3. Then he'll hit back 4 times, hitting on 3s. Oh, he only hit once. Wounds on a 2. No damage. But then, well, getting through the turns very quickly, we're on to Necron's turn 4. In my command phase, because of the protocol, the Necron Lord heals both of those wounds, and then he'll use the Resurrection Orb on the Scarabs, because they are within range, so may as well. On the unlikely event, I roll 4 5+s. No, not even a 1. And then the Overlord will stay in melee. The remaining Scarab base moved over to be behind the Battle Sisters, and the Immortals moved up. So they're both within 15 of those Battle Sisters, whom they will shoot at. 4 times, hitting on 3s this time, because no I will be done anymore. So that misses there, so 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. We've got 2 wounds. They are behind a pipe though.
4+. 1 dies, so I'll take away this one.
And then that Scarab base will charge. I mean, that's within 2 inches, so we'll just do that. He has 4 attacks hitting on 4s. We've got 2 normal hits. Wounding on 4s. There's a wound.
3+. She lives. Pick the Canoness to go. 4 attacks on 2s, rerolling 1s. They all hit. Wounding on 5s. Nothing.
And the Overlord's return attacks, hitting on 3s. He still can't hit more than twice. Wounding on 2s. That's 2 wounds.
4+ invulnerable save. Made 1, so she's down to 2 wounds. And the lone Battle Sister hits on a 4, rerolling 1s. Hits. Yeah, wounds on a 3, doesn't wound.
So that's the board at the end of Necron's turn 4. On to Imperium turn 5. And the final command protocol will be Protocol of the Eternal Guardian. I'll pick the directive that means if I'm charged, then I can set to defend. Not going to be relevant, but the other one isn't either.
So, in the command phase, the Canoness will use her command rod on herself, and then the lone Battle Sister is going to fall back out of melee. And then in the shooting phase, the Canoness is going to overcharge her plasma pistol at the Overlord. Hits on a 2 rerolling 1s. It does. It wounds on a 3. It does not.
And being the Imperium turn, the Overlord gets to hit first in melee on 3s. Still can't hit more than twice. Wounds on 2s. There's 2 wounds again.
4+. No, she goes down now.
That's 3 victory points for the Necrons, because that was the Warlord going up to 5. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any point playing Necron's turn 5 there, because, well, I'd probably just kill that Battle Sister with my remaining units. So yeah, definitely a Necron victory this one. 5 or 6 victory points to 1. And we'll recap the game for you now. Well, that was the battle for issue 46 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. How do you think that one went?
Pretty much as well as I expected it to go. Looking at the forces, most of my units are going to be wounding on things on 5s, whereas you're wounding me on 3s, and a lot of my stuff has 1 wound as well, so it's not too surprising that you were able to kill me quite quickly. I was glad to kill the Wraith, I suppose. It wasn't very effective this game, to be honest, but I didn't really have an answer to the Overlord. The Canoness can try, but she lasted longer than I expected her to be honest.
Yeah, she has the honourable save, but she's only really on 5s and only does 1 damage. No,
and he rolled pretty badly as well. He was only half awake and he still managed to wipe out most of my army, so...
I guess if the Canoness had hit him harder with that crack grenade, but you kind of want your whole army to attack him all at once to have a chance of doing anything, And yeah, I have a lot of AP in my army as well, like the Immortals guns can get through that 3+ armor save reasonably well. The Wraith didn't do very well, but in theory it can kill an Assault Intercessor with every swing. And unfortunately my models were mostly more powerful than yours in this.
Yes.
Even the Scarabs, which obviously are not that tough, have a lot of wounds and they can just tie you down like they did.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty poor introduction to Battle Sisters units. And I guess if you looked at their stat lines, Battle Sisters are similar to Skitarii, maybe slightly worse at shooting, especially with their bolt guns, but slightly more durable. Again, you don't want to get them in melee. And Seraphim, their 5+ invulnerable save is nice, and their 2 attacks in melee potentially as well, but they don't actually have a melee weapon, so it's just going to be 4 strength 3 attacks with the 2, and they're really not going to last very long. The full squad of 5, they get a decent amount of shots, but they still only have 1 wound and they're only toughness 3, so...
Yeah, they're still quite vulnerable to things like Immortals and even Necron Warriors. I suppose the thing is, they're not individually worth as much as, say, an Immortal or a Necron Warrior, but the problem is with this game, we've only got 3. They did try and reduce the stuff in the Necron Force, but...
Yeah, I mean, the Seraphim really just seemed like a liability. The reason I put them in Sky Strike so is you couldn't shoot at them and just kill them in 1 round of shooting like you did and give away a victory point. I mean, Immortals only have 1 wound as well, but they're toughness 5 and they can reanimate potentially.
Yeah, and exactly as one did. Like, it might have actually been different if you had killed that 1 Immortal in the first shooting.
Yeah, I don't think 40k is balanced around games this small. I don't think the rule set really works for it. I mean, you could almost play Kill Team with this smaller collection of models.
Yeah, and you see that just how much the game would have changed if you had killed that 1 Immortal right at the beginning, I think. Halving their firepower could have actually changed the result of the game. Obviously, also, like, the Battle Sisters squad does have some special weapons that we didn't go over the profiles for, that they will get soon.
Yeah, and I don't know where they got the Assault 6 Flamer from, but we are going to use the correct profile, because that's oddly wrong.
Unfortunately, we're used to typos and stuff in this magazine, but in this case it's particularly glaring and confusing if you're a new player, but follow what we do and not what the magazine says, I guess.
And we did get the Repentia and the Arco-flagellant as well, but we'll talk about them when we actually use them in the next issue.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing they didn't give you 1 of each of those models in this game, because that would have just been more victory points for me. It was nice you were able to use a different Sacred Rite, though, the shooting one, because you had some models to do it. And the Battle Sisters models, though, they are really good. They're kind of an update of a classic design. As you said, I think when we got the Canoness, the Battle Sisters are a very 40k kind of unit.
They're very old faction as well. These models look much better than the old ones. They're much better proportioned and much more detailed as well. They're not made of metal. That's how old they were.
Yeah, the old models were kind of more cartoony, but with this they've updated the design and made them much more modernised. And like the Seraphim being on the flying stands as well makes them much better than the old
they used to be on,
just fell over.
Yeah, they used to be on weird metal things and very oddly posed.
But anyway, I think that's it for this issue and this game, so let us know what you thought in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. We'll soon be getting more Battle Sisters as well to fill out these units, so stay tuned for those. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye for now.